Hello and welcome to what we're now naming Pickles and Play-Doh, inspired from episode 1. It is now episode 5. I'm Christian Dossett. Unfortunately, Jace is not with us tonight, but fortunately we have a guest, Mr. Jack James Clark. JJ, what's going on?
How you doing? Very nice to be here. Appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good. Just learnt the name of the show, which is a good start. But
Right on.
I thought it was different, but we're up to date now.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
excited.
we've delved through a few different names. First we started with wolf-sized pickles, and then we moved to pickle-sized wolves, and we were really banking for the name The Cave, after Plato's allegory of the cave.
Okay.
And Jason's a big fan of that, and we tried working just a bunch of different stuff. We'll probably change the name again.
Well, where did the whole wolf and pickle kind of matrix?
Well, we had this would you rather. It was would you rather fight a
Yeah,
wolf-sized
I saw
pickle or 100 pickle-sized wolves?
Yeah, I saw that.
So would you rather?
I would have to be a wolf-sized pickle for sure.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
But does that mean the pickle has legs, or does it become living?
Well, everybody has a different interpretation of it, but I imagine it to be kind of like a Conor McGregor style feller, because I imagine him just being the size of a wolf.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
And with that, it's personified, and you could like lead up into training to fight the thing, and you might have a chance.
I guess that's true.
But I imagine
But
like,
hundreds, that's a lot. That's a lot of little.
yeah,
lot of little
scrappy,
wolves.
scrappy little guys.
See, ants scare me. So
Mhm.
wolves are a bit different.
Yeah. So I guess if you go to Florida Tech, and as you do, what are you studying?
Marketing. Business marketing.
Very cool.
It's all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've just made the recent mistake of signing up to do my fast track masters.
Oh,
which
geez.
means I've just decided to do lots more.
Does that mean you'll be here an extra year?
Yeah, one more year. That's kind of my main motivation was the extra year. I didn't really think about how I actually have to read and write now.
Ah,
'Cause I'm morally against reading,
yeah. Well,
which is difficult.
'cause I feel
to
like
try and
we
write.
read a lot in business school.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's actually more, I would say it's actually more kind of reading and essentially harder, as it were, than it appears. But
Yeah.
I understand that engineering stuff's mental, I'll give you that. But
Yeah.
with business, there's more to it. It's just different. But there's a lot of stuff you got to know.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I went through it the first year and a half I was here. I was in the business school.
Yeah, that's when you change.
And yeah, a whole lot of reading, and then you get into accounting stuff too.
Yeah, the
and-
math side of it is challenging.
Yeah.
But for some, it depends.
I had a hard time with accounting
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, everyone's different. Yeah.
But this is kind of sad, Caleb. This music you
Yeah,
got
I'm
going.
getting very thoughtful though. It's nice.
That's all right.
So
I mean, we can try it out.
DJ's large, mate.
Use rules. So so if you go to FIT, not speaking to you, but now speaking to the listeners, you've probably seen a lot of stickers around campus. They have little hearts in them,
I haven't.
and the letters BBL. I think we've caught the sticker man. He's in the studio with us right now. Jack
Indeed.
is the creator of Big Big Love. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
I can. First off, the stickers, I got in a lot of trouble from the school, but I claimed that they were just given out, and then it was without my control of sticking them. But so sorry to the school if they're listening to that. But yeah, Big Big Love. It's something that I've always said as a phrase for a while. I still don't really know where exactly the point was where I came up with it. A lot of different experiences. Partly, I used to always repeat words just for, like emphasis randomly.
Mhm.
Like I would like key words. I would like repeat, or if it's like happy birthday things. I don't know why. Merry Christmas. I don't know. Sounds nice because things are nice in threes.
Right.
So if you're just doing like a two thing, like big love was like people understand that's a common phrase, but if you just double the big and give it a little bit more boost, it's good. And yeah, I came up with it, and essentially, it's a brand. Essentially, a brand. It's a for-profit in the long run once it gets more legitimate. Philanthropic brand that is essentially about just bringing people together and just trying to positively impact someone's life in some way, and just kind of get across that we're all just one big family, and there's so much horrible stuff going on in the world, and everything's quite depressing essentially. So it's just trying to find the light of things in life, and also make the harder stuff a bit simpler through like blogs and sharing things. Just kind of sense a kind of community and like philanthropy and a way of life around it. But yeah, no, it's been a very interesting year. It's been just over a year now, almost to the day, where I decided on a Monday morning, always thought about it, always wanted to do about it. No idea why. I woke up, I guess, on the wrong right side of the bed, I'm not sure, maybe the end of it, and I decided not to go to class and just ignore everything else and just buy the domain and start building the website and start putting all my notes of everything I've just written down in several notebooks, starting to an actual functional thing. And it's really cool. It started out as a personal thing for myself, and then it just seemed that other people kind of liked a bit what I was doing, so I started to try and share it a bit more.
Right on.
But yeah, there we are.
I'm a big fan.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I know you are, and I'm a big fan of you as well. So.
Absolutely, thank you.
Me too.
Oh, hello.
Hey, Lauren.
Hello.
So with Big Love, so I'm sure a lot of people see it in a lot of different ways because you have,
It's entirely open to anyone's. I change my mind of what it is every day as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of more of a way of thinking of trying to just open up other ideas rather than set rules. Like nothing's set. Like everyone's different. Everyone will read everything different or do it in their own way, and that's advised and welcomed. Nothing that I say, I'm not saying that whatever I say is best, and I'm not saying I do everything best, and because the world's going to change and spin no matter what you're going to do about it. But it's just, it's something. It's definitely something, I think. But yeah, it's cool that you like it. It means a lot, and it's something I'm trying to get back into even more in the near future.
Yeah, I mean the positivity aspect of it is just so absolutely crucial. Because even if like I view you as an optimistic person, would you claim to be that?
That's the question. That's because that's the thing that changes a lot with me. It depends on the day, but I'd say I try very hard to be. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, with any person, there's this idea that we are like kind of two separate identities. There's the you that like everybody else sees you as, like the model that everybody builds around you based by your actions, right?
Yep.
And then there is the you that's in your head that hasn't quite been built yet. There's the you that you make decisions by. There's the you that you would like to be someday. Like every morning you're waking up, and whether you do ultimately make the decision to go after that vision of yourself or not, like most of the time you will.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. That's like, I see that in Big Love. And I see that when, people claim to be optimists in any situation, that is like, that's the ego that they are after and that they're really about. Because I think it is difficult to be an optimist.
Yeah.
It is. It's hard work.
Yeah, it's exhausting, but I think it's important.
Yeah, no, it's redundant energy to be anything but optimist.
That is a beautiful way of saying it. That is the basic groundstone of what I try and build my brand off. Exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, we have the power to say anything we want, to do anything we want, but to do destructive things, it's completely unnecessary.
Yeah, agreed. Exactly. There's the whole grand scheme of everything being so big and wide and everything so relatively kind of irrelevant as such that you might as well smile about it, essentially, and try and make the best out of it,
Because I mean, I see that just as easily, maybe even easier, you could have woken up that morning on the wrong side of bed, and instead of creating Big Love, you could have created a brand that was like, everything sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that probably would have sold.
Yeah. Agreed. Probably a lot easier as well, I bet.
Yeah.
But it's not me at the bottom of it.
Yeah, it's not
really
right.
what I wanted to do. Yeah, no, it's just a feeling of, it's about just trying to do something, as hard as everything is, try and find a way of making it better and a smile on the way of it. And it's hard at times, and obviously everyone has lots of stuff going on, but trying to think of just the bigger picture in terms of everyone worries about, I have to do this, I have to go to this assignment, I have to get this assignment done, I have this meeting, I have to do, and yes, we will have that, but if you think about it, take back and breathe for a moment, like you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And so just make sure you take yourself the time just to put yourself first, because you don't have to do anything. Maybe breathe, that's fundamental, but that's not really optional. Everything optional is optional.
Yeah, I 100% subscribe to that.
Yeah.
I was a part of like a training regimen in high school by this super awesome coach. He was really competitive, and it made the world not really repetitive. He was, really extreme, and he made like a lot of us think that being part of the rowing program was like a life or death sort of thing. Like that's the way we built like our minds around it, and for some of us it caused like a lot of stress.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not complaining now. It got me to where I want to be. I'm going to college, which is great.
There is a need for it.
But he had told us one day at practice, he's like, because you might have workouts that are optional, right? You're on the tennis team.
Yeah.
Right. So on those days when we had required workouts, like the really tough ones, we have 2K tests. And I remember one day some kid asked, he's like, is this really required? And he looked at it with his, kind of Irish accent, and he was like, nothing's required.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be here.
No.
Like, you're paying to be a part of this club.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just providing you the guidance to the goal that I see fit for you.
Yeah.
But, I mean, screw it. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And that was a big day for me. That was when I took that deep breath, and I was like, whoa. Yeah. This is, that was life-changing.
Yeah, it's huge. 'Cause in that situation, it's because you don't have to do anything. Yeah, the optional practice and stuff, and any practice in that scenario would be, it shouldn't be everything. Yes, it's optional, but you should go. You know that you should always go, but it shouldn't be because your coach or the rules say you should go. It should be because you really want to go, and
right.
It's you want to go because it will help you to whatever goal you're trying to get to in the end.
Right.
Like, yes, it might be something in that workout that morning that you don't want to do that day, but sometimes you've got to think about, is it for the bigger picture? Like, go big on it and think, all right, this is going to suck today, but if I don't do this, then I'm going to be a day behind in like 3 years when it could be more important.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely important to remember that nothing is actually mandatory,
right.
But it's up to you. But there should be you should set your own kind of standards.
Right. So I mean, ultimately, sacrifice is really crucial.
Mm-hmm.
To attain even the goals you don't see like having much to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Very crucial.
Yeah. That is sacrifice is something that it happens, and I've actually been personally suffer of not being good and well at sacrificing enough in terms of trying to do too much.
Yeah.
And that's difficult, and you've got to find it's very hard to find a way of sacrifice. It makes it a strong word, but just more prioritize in terms of what you have to do in terms of sooner or later or the bigger picture, and try and wiggle it down to specific. It's hard as it is to like know what you want to do, but you want to try and keep your list short because it gets so so long.
Absolutely.
But yeah, sacrifice is definitely something which it sucks, but again, for the bigger picture in the end, like it's just something that has to happen.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. But that's the sadder side of the optimism.
All right. So delving into more optimism.
Let's go happy. Right?
We both go to FIT, and I will make light of some negative before we get to the positive, which is kind of important.
Feedback sandwich. There we go. Negative, positive, negative, positive.
Right. I mean that's what it is. It's we're balancing it out, and we're tasting, and we're putting the pickles on the bottom side of the sandwich.
The amuse-bouche, if you will.
All right, so we go to Florida Tech, and there's many other college experiences that we could be going after. Ultimately, we're here, and how do you make the most of being here?
Yes, good question. So you're now
like,
opening up to me to say the bad sides of it, or is this?
Well, I really want to know, like, past the bad stuff.
Yeah,
we both know there is bad stuff about being here.
Obviously, nothing's going to be perfect, but I think we all, for us, I don't know, seems like we've done pretty well.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, no matter what, like, Florida Tech, dude, like, I'm currently in a house with, like, 3, like, most of which are English, like, best as mates, living in a house in Florida, like, a couple of miles from the beach, so... That's like, at the end of the day, it's gonna be like, all right, I'm in Florida, like it could be worse, and that's what I try and go back to. Is just thinking about like where you are and understand how lucky you are, and make the most of it. And there's some things that if there's something that's not right, and if it's something that you don't think is great, then like you got to go and try and change that, or again decide if it's not worth it and then sacrifice it. But whatever you can do, like try and make the best out of the situation.
Right.
It's the whole the lemonade concept of taking life's like sourest lemons they can give and try and make something that at least it resembles lemonade, which is nice in the sun. And we're in Florida, so it's quite a nice match there with the lemonade and the sun, with your pickle sandwich and your wolf fighters.
Right on.
It made sense, trust me.
Kind of, yeah. No, I'd eat that.
But yeah, essentially just happy in Florida because it's in Florida, dude. Like it's currently where I'm back from which is London, like England. If you wouldn't have known, listeners, we are talking to you.
So you're like in the thick of the city?
And no, I'm actually just north. So I say London because it's so easy to say and people know that. But I am quite close. I'm just half an hour north.
Right on.
Like the closest bit of countryside, which is kind of nice. So if you go to my house, it would look like a old cottage next to a farm in the middle of nowhere. But we're actually quite lucky to be in a place where the train station very near us, just half an hour into the centre of London. So it's kind of the best of both worlds.
So were you kind of in a rural area?
Yeah. Where I am, my house is like there's nothing. There's
did you grow up there in that house?
I've been at this house. It's interesting actually. I've been at this house since I was 1. So I've only moved house once when I was 1, and all it was about 2 miles.
I had like the same situation
down the canal. We live like on the canal, which is very old, like the little houseboats, I think you call them, our narrow boats on the canal in England. And we moved down from one lock to another, and I've been there ever since. So I can't remember the old house because I've been here since I was 1.
All right, so one thing that really interests me about people who grow up in rural areas is their childhood. Mostly just because I'm so kind of infatuated with my own, and that I was lucky enough to grow up in a rural place where I was able to like kind of having the reins taken off me by my parents. And as silly as it sounds now, just like play. Like what was it like for you to go out of your house when you were younger?
It was nice actually, but it's different because as I was a kid, I actually viewed where I lived in a more of a negative light due to the fact of being quite far. Because all my friends and stuff were in towns nearby, and my school in towns and stuff. A lot of them would live in the town, but because I have to commute, it was difficult. So I had a different. Oh yes, I'd go outside and play and loved it, and had a friend at the farm. I used to go and try and help at the farm and stuff, and get outside and be a kid. I wasn't indoors like playing video games. I'd be outside, but in terms of where I was, it was a nice place, but I used to be jealous of my mates who could just walk down to the village green and see them well. So at times it was hard, but also I was so busy with all my other commitments with like sporting and other stuff from a young age, and so I didn't have that much time to essentially go down to the green. But when I did have a chance, I did go outside and try and get muddy. And I definitely think it's so important as kids. Like rural is so important. Like you've got to climb a tree and you've got to fall up. You've got to fall down. Like
absolutely.
You can't. Happy Birds on your iPads is a bit too safe, I think, for kids.
Absolutely.
They'll bounce. So I think just let them. Maybe I'll be a bad dad. But I think kids bounce. It'd be fine. Yeah. We turned out all right, I think. Yeah. 4 limbs.
And I mean, like the thing with that is, of course, you see everybody growing older, and you see your grandparents like, oh, your childhood's not the way mine was, and like our parents did the same about us. Yeah. And now we're old enough to see a generation that's living very differently than we were.
Yeah.
You know, like toddlers with tablets, and that is such a strange thing.
Yeah, that is actually that's something I noticed for a while, and because I got my first. When did I get my first Apple device? I think I got a iPod Touch when I was like 14.
Same.
The old iPods, and and just seeing now the kids being obsessive about I get they're a good tool for some situations and traveling, but it's just their focus, and I feel like but that's the thing. The time's moving though. If technology is becoming more the main thing in life, then it's important that the kids get used to it, and then they can go into that field and such. But I do think there's definitely a higher need for getting kids out, being active, if it's through sport or anything, or climbing trees, and look. It's more personal, more social. Just look at someone else rather than a cartoon, or even if it is a real person. Yeah. It seems like people now would rather that they would prefer just a Skype call than rather actually there are either FaceTime on their phones and actually go and see their faces.
It's so important. That's something that I really enjoy about the show.
Yeah, exactly.
Is not only do I get to sit down, normally with Jace and have like an hour conversation with him each week, and really dive deeply into whatever we want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it also provides people a chance to listen to that conversation, and provided they have the attention span to or interest to keep listening throughout the show, they receive a source of empathy and an expanding worldview that you wouldn't otherwise get, scrolling through Instagram or playing Flappy Bird or whatever,
Because this is cool. It's like a balance, because it is, obviously, they won't see us and it's just our voices and it's technology and stuff, but the fact that it's a conversation with very other little barriers to our communication, it's just like us having a little chat. It's good, and I like it. I think it's definitely more important. I definitely think, I know for a fact that if I'm ever lucky enough to have kids, they're not getting an iPad.
Yeah.
But I say that now, they're annoying maybe, but I'll just throw them outside. Definitely it's so important to go and find friends, and because that's kind of going back to the whole BBL thing of my brand and what I try and preach is just we're all a big family, social, we're all here in the same pit, and no matter what, and so you've got to do your best to communicate and be able to converse with people and different people and in the real life world, and understand is we all have phones and our technology is so important to us now, and I get that, it's so useful, but they should be there as an accessory to your own social, actual, not social media, but actual in real life social presence and things.
Right.
It's not the priority.
Let's see. I'm going to pull up an article here that I may read in a moment. It was something that I wrote, and I like to throw in a good story each podcast.
I like story time.
Let's, shoot. I wonder what blog spot, maybe?
He's on the spot now.
There we go. Blah, blah, blah. Balls. Lauren, you want to get on?
Sure. Hello, everyone.
Is she on?
Can you hear me?
I don't think she's on the speaker yet, or on the mic.
Can you hear me now?
1 second. Stick with
Seem
us.
to be having technical difficulties here. Our next guest,
Help.
Lauren Tybalt, is about to be appearing, apparently. If we can get the mic sorted.
Testing.
Wait, it's not on yet.
1, 2, 9.
Is this on?
Shoot. Wi-Fi's pretty trash down here.
Oh yeah, we said that earlier. We're currently in a. Well, that's a good name, the cave. Actually, it's another way. It feels like I'm in a cave.
Yeah, it is a little.
It's kind of
basement.
nice. I've lost complete awareness of the outside world right now.
Testing. Hello?
Hello.
Is that
Hey, Lauren.
successful? I think so. Yes. Try again.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, the
Can I
headphones
sing
are
a song?
switched. Yeah, sing us a song,
Can you
Lauren.
hear me now?
I can.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
What's your favorite song?
My favourite song? Oh, that's a good question. So, there's, I essentially have a top 3, but then there's a 0.
Oh, what's number 0?
So numbers,
Is 0 a number?
well,
Is
it's just
zero
like the
a
one
good
which is
thing or a
like,
bad thing?
in a good way.
Right.
It's just can't even put on top. But
It's
that,
like home base.
but it's different because there actually is a song I didn't mention earlier. One of the things Big Big Love come from. There's a song called Big Big Love Figure 2 by the Foals. Foals, which are an English band, which are brilliant, I think, because my actual favourite song of all time is Spanish Sahara, which is by Foals, and they're the other song, which obviously the name relates to me, but Spanish Sahara by Foals would be my favourite song of all time.
Never heard that.
Yeah, I was about to say, do you want to sing it for us? Or?
No, I don't know that one.
Do you want to sing a little bit, JJ?
I honestly, I don't think I'd do it justice, because you have to no, I'll let you, I don't want to spoil it, I'm going to let everyone out there put it on and see what you think.
Do you want to give us a hum?
That's how it starts.
Oh.
It actually starts with a hum, I'm not even joking.
That was beautiful.
I thought that was a stellar performance.
Really good stuff.
But yeah, it's a very slow, I actually like it, it's a very long song, it's about 7 minutes, and it builds and builds and builds. Because most of the music I listen to is relatively calm, and people think it's too ugh. But
Mellow.
it has a bit too mellow.
Music.
But it has actually it has some depth to it, and it keeps building and growing. And it's I think it's a really cool listen, and it stuck with me. It's one of the first songs I've actually ever had like an attraction to.
Do you know Stairway to Heaven?
Stairway to Heaven, that's a good song.
That's one of the best songs ever
Is
made.
that your favourite?
It's
number
one of
one?
my favorites.
Why is it your favorite?
Give us a hum.
I don't know exactly what. Boom, boom, boom. You know Mr. Sandman?
Mr. Sandman.
By the who sang that? Three Girls.
Mr. Sandman.
Yes.
Give me a
Boom, 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 boom.
I don't
It's a
think
good
that. I
song.
don't think so.
I'm not familiar with that one. Yeah, we could play that, Taylor. I think the thing with picking favorite songs, I think it's easy to do when you're young because you don't know much music. But have you heard of the Dunning-Kruger effect?
No. So this is when you amaze me with all
Right,
these
so this
weird
is like
logics.
a term coined in psychology that the more you know, the less confident you feel about that subject. But the less you know about a subject, the more confident you are. So you ever meet someone who's like just blatantly ignorant, but they're
Yeah.
really confident in what they think because they don't know a lot?
Yeah.
You know, they don't kind of understand deep systems and
No.
whatnot.
Yeah. They're just unconsciously incompetent and just have no idea.
Here we have some Sandman.
Oh yeah, banger.
That's good. Caleb, can we keep this like down to like 10 seconds? Because I might get pulled from YouTube if we play it for too long. All right, so that's Mr. Sandman. You got it. Caleb, I'm sorry, but I'm serious. We got to take that off. I might get pulled. Anyway, yeah, Dunning-Kruger. So the more we learn about music and just how great all different kinds of music are, then we find it much harder to pick a favorite because, well, it is also different, and you can enjoy it in very different ways. And a lot of music is
Yeah.
just kind of a soundscape. You know, it's something where oftentimes you go back to like the time you first heard it or when it like really meant something to you. When you first heard like the true lyrics, like you'd heard it before, but
Yeah.
you hadn't listened, and then you listened, and that's what it reminds you of for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it does take you back. It does take you back some of the songs. Yeah, it's interesting. I think the more you know, I guess the more you know about a subject, maybe you feel less confident. Partly because you are aware of how big it is, and you then are aware of how much you don't know.
Right. Exactly.
So that I get that, because you have to be. Yeah, it's interesting. It's something I've actually come across recently, and you think of. I related it to sport, but in terms of the improvement progress of how skillful you are, like it starts with being completely, just no knowledge, and you know that, and then it starts with being consciously incompetent.
Mm-hmm.
So you're essentially aware of that. You're not very good, and that would essentially be the first step, and then you move forward and you become consciously competent. You're like kind of intermediate level. You start to understand. You're aware of what you're doing and knowing what you're doing, and then you get to the ultimate level of being unconsciously competent. So you don't even know that you're doing it, and it's
Right.
just second nature. And as soon as you become better at something, and the more things you learn, it seems like there's always more. And so I can see how you'd be left confident. Yeah, interesting. I'm gonna have a Google, definitely.
All right. So I kind of want to get back to something stemming from Big Big Love.
Yes.
The third letter, love. So, Lauren, you've taught me something that is just absolutely phenomenal. When we first met about a year ago, we'd be walking across campus, and you would say hi to like everyone in sight. And
B-knock.
and you really made me realize how like isolated I was and how introverted I was and that I wouldn't reach out to many people. And I don't think you told me this directly, but it's something that I learned knowing you. And I didn't really change that semester at all. And then this summer I got a job at a bicycle shop downtown over by the tracks. It's called Infinity Bike Shop. And having that job required people to come in with their bikes and for us to diagnose the problem with them. It was kind of being like a bike doctor. You know, you'd talk really in depth with somebody about the bike, and then you'd try to learn to fix it. And when put in a situation like that, I talked to a lot of people, like a lot more than I ever had in my life. You know, like every day it was like my job to talk to people. And oftentimes it wasn't just about the bike.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we'd have people in here from all walks of life. We'd have people coming in who were retired doctors who were spending like tens of thousands of dollars on their bikes, like for a triathlon the next day where they might get a participation medal, you know? And then other days we would have people coming in covered in dirt, begging for us to inflate their tire.
Oh wow, yeah.
Like, I need to get to shelter
Wow.
before the night ends.
Mm-hmm.
And with these person that came in, you're normally guaranteed a story. And it taught me to like understand like how much other people had to give. And it started with introducing yourself, with asking them how they were, with asking them what they've been through. And as the season progressed, summer came to an end, and I had about a week between work being done and school coming back on. So I decided I was reading a book, Ernest Hemingway, For Whom the Bell Tolls, and he had always written a bunch of great stuff, and I was curious as to why, but he had just done a lot of cool stuff, and he was able to write from that. And I always really liked writing myself, so I took it upon myself, 4 pages into the book, to close the book and pack my bags. And I drove to Key West that day.
Hey.
And when I was there, I was talking to more strangers than I ever had in my life. And I went to this museum where, have you heard of the balseros? So the rafters, like the refugees from Cuba
Okay.
who would build rafts and float here,
Wow.
like float to Florida, hopefully. There's many were lost to rest their souls. But by the final day, I'm going to go ahead and start kind of reading off this now. By the final day, I booked a room 1 extra day to meet a man who was a balsero,
Oh wow.
who had completed that. And I'm just going to go ahead and start reading. So the balsero story continued. I checked into the San Pablo Institute around 2 p.m. on a scorching Key West Tuesday. A tall and tan middle-aged man sat at a foldable desk near the massive doors. It was Juan. My name is Christian, and I've stayed here an extra night on the island just to speak with you. And Juan took a deep breath and said it was a very long story. I took a seat and gave the man all my attention. His first attempt to float the divide was in 1965 as a child. The police shut his family's operation down before the raft ever touched the water. For nearly 30 years, trying again was always the plan. Living in Cuba was like putting a handicap on personal freedom. It was an absolute hell. I mean, if you questioned the government there, you were executed with others who would, and it was worth it to him. In 1994, Juan and 6 others boarded onto a 15-foot dinghy made of 4x4s and 4 inner tubes. And it was equipped with paddles and a dinky outboard engine. The engine was about the size of my head. Even with the engine, Juan described catching the right current as a gamble. It just seems to take luck to make it. Thousands of lives had quietly been lost to unlucky currents. Juan talked of a storm that enveloped them mid-trip, as he describes rising to the crests and plummeting to the troughs of these cinematically large waves. He never really gave a description of units of like how tall the waves were, but the museum that we were sitting in came equipped with these giant wooden doors that we walked through, and they must have been about 40 feet high. And as he was telling these stories about the waves, he took his eye contact from me and he looked at the doors, and his eyes traced up and down them. And he talked about how his wife pulled like the blanket over her head to just not be there because it was so surreal. And it was midday, but it was dark.
Just because
In the ocean on this dinghy. Yeah, just because the storm was so bad.
Wow.
And they would plummet to the bottom and have these massive, massive waves overhead. 70 miles from Havana, they were plucked from the ocean by a Coast Guard and jailed in Guantanamo Bay for the next 8 months of their lives. At this point in the story, Juan began to distract himself with items on his desk, and I felt the sensitivity of the story. I backed off and thanked him for sharing. I can only imagine the full story.
Wow.
Now, mind you, this was like a pre-9/11 world, so I'm not exactly sure how Guantanamo Bay was. It could have been very humane of a place. But I have the picture here of the dinghy that he drew. If you'd like to see that.
Oh wow, that's a good drawing. And they just got together and just built this from wherever they could find.
Yeah, surely. I mean, it's not from a boatyard, I'll tell you that.
It's pretty basic. And the fact that they made it through the storms is remarkable. That must have been scary. Like, I get scared in the water here if I don't know if I get knocked over.
Absolutely.
That's serious.
And he had a
amazing.
book of paintings that he kept showing me, and it wasn't for sale yet. He hadn't published it, but he had his own private copy. And one of the paintings was of his dog on the beach.
Oh, back home.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Wow,
I
and they
leave him there.
They left him here from the view on the beach. Yeah.
Right.
Sad. Amazing. That's sacrifice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, just moral of the story here. I mean, get what you want from this story, but to you and the listeners and whoever, I mean, everybody's got a story,
Exactly.
you know,
It's
and
you just gotta ask. Exactly.
and just by looking, around. I mean, start with the museum if you have to, and then start talking to some locals, and have the bravery to know that somebody's story is going to mean something. And I did as much as booked an extra place to stay and dedicated a whole day to meet this man to talk for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I got so much from it. And it started with Lauren saying hi to people on campus.
Yeah, we got tangent. That's good. I like it when it goes on a tangent. No, that's interesting. It is something I think I do well, but nowhere near enough in terms of taking the time out of the day just to say hello to the people you know and to the ones you don't, and the person who holds the door open for you, say thank you, and actually then, of course, the next question,
Yeah, I mean, we
just
can't
try
do
and
it all
get
the
a little
time.
bit deeper. I understand you can't do it all the time, and that's an extreme version, but you can definitely simplify it and try and put out to people as an idea to take that little extra 10 seconds just to ask another question, and if you do that every day, it'll add up, and you'll become far more knowledgeable about those around you, and that's essentially all that it is. I'm quite thrown by that story. It's impressive.
Because in a way, you have an idea of a better worldview
It's just a better world.
than maybe you probably did in the past. There was a day when it came upon you where you're like, okay, I'm a better person for this. I understand the world a little bit better, and you can't stop to everyone you see. Nobody can.
No.
And you can't explain everything that you think is right to them. But I'm touching his hat right now. It's not on his head anymore. It's on the table. By this big love hat, this positivity propaganda, that takes a step in the direction of doing that, of reaching out to everyone who sees it.
The idea is to see it and just either not know what it is and therefore ask why, because it looks slightly peculiar, but also, or if you are aware of it already, then it should hope it reminds you just to have a little smile, or whatever it is it reminds you to do, just hopefully it's positive. And that's exactly it. It's just kind of, I guess it's the icebreaker into a conversation.
Speaking of icebreakers, currently we are both growing some peculiar mustaches.
Stunning mustaches.
Me too.
Yeah, I think Caleb's rocking one too.
Yeah,
That's
it's
nice.
getting
Yeah.
real gristly.
So what does Movember mean to you? Why do you start it?
Movember, I think it's brilliant. It's this is probably the most committed I've been to it, I think, ever this year. First time I did it was back in high school, my second to last year, year 12. You would call that your sort of junior year of high school.
Right.
And at the time, shocked, I look like a grown-up man now. I was not that grown up then in the whole facial hair department, and it wasn't great. I tried and did it and tried to raise some money, but there wasn't really much on my face, so it didn't go that well. And I just looked like pubescent, weird, fluffy bowl. I don't know. It was strange. But then, because I got inspired by my rugby and also physics teacher at the time, I remember rugby coach through the school because he did it, and he did it every year. And every year he would ask his class, his students what design to do it, and they would all design one, and everyone could enter the design that wanted, and he would choose one. And that year it was the Batman like stencil logo,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the light, and it looked like around his mouth. It looked awesome. And I was like, one day I'm gonna be able to have a cool tash and do things like that. And and just the way that Movember what it stands for in terms of it being the largest men's health organization of everything that it does. I think it's brilliant. I think it's so important, and it's like now as we're talking about technology and everything, it's 2018, and there's still such a huge taboo around like mental health as a whole, and especially men's health, because I think it seems men are too easy just to be like, men, and just show it off. That it's nothing matters because you're a man and you got to do certain things and shrug your shoulders, but it's okay to not be okay at all, and the whole way of them starting to grow moustaches as a way of suggesting that, I think it's brilliant because it's a bit of fun and adds a little bit of a light to the idea, and to raise money for men's health awareness is huge. So I've actually donated, been part of it ever since that. That was when I was 16. This year we've got a good group together. Our fellow Mobro Eddie Sandy, he's very keen on it. He's the one
he
who
can
pushed
grow
me to
a
it here.
fantastic mustache.
He can grow a phenomenal mustache. He looks good. He does look good. I think that's what's. I don't know about it. I would like to keep I think we all look great. I'm not sure about myself though, but I think you look good, Christian.
Thank you. I'm a fan of it.
I know. It should be a permanent. It should be a permanent thing. We should
Raise-
raise.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
I'm
should be
excited
Mo
for
year.
December. I forgot what his face looks like.
For Friday night it comes off. I think midnight Friday.
Well, I forgot to break to you. I think I'm gonna grow a beard in November.
Yeah, just December. I think Movember is fantastic. For those who don't know, please go and Google it. If you do know, donate to me, because I know some of my mates are watching. Do donate, because I've looked like an idiot for a while.
Yeah.
And it's just a way of putting fun and just raising awareness of it, because it is actually the most important cause. And personally, I know there's so many charities out there, and all the time now it's a big thing. And for me, I know how hard that is, and to choose where and you put your hard-earned cash that none of us even have. But Movember's one which I think they're doing extremely well, and it's a really, really good cause in my opinion. I think it's up there with my favourites at the moment. So
Absolutely.
please go and have a look and compliment my face for the next couple of days.
Yeah. I'm not aware of any other men's health organizations. I'm sure there are some, but do you know any?
So I know a couple of smaller ones and like home, and then obviously you have the fundamental government run stuff. But there's, in terms of a charity that's public and markets that well and try and make it interactive and engaging, and basically making it a more positive way of doing charity rather than traditionally you might see this awful, sadly, adverts of see children in need and stuff, and people who understand that works and it's important. They obviously need the help, but I love how Movember, I think it's becoming so big because they're doing it in a positive way.
Yeah.
I think no matter how sad it is, and it's fundamentally to raise money for men's suicide, is I think three quarters of all suicides at the moment are from men, which is awfully high. The fact that it's that way, obviously there should be none, but either way. And it's just a way of dealing with that, and just trying to find a different way to do it. And it doesn't all have to be, nothing has to be moan and groan.
I think it's probably so impactful because of the juxtaposition, or how can I say this in a more English way? Because of the stark differences between the message and the image. Because it is such a positive image that it holds, and with a lot of the pictures that people share of their stashes, everybody's smiling.
Yeah, exactly.
You might go in with your dad and you take a great picture at Thanksgiving and load it up or whatever, and the message underneath is oftentimes going to be about something quite awful. Let's prevent anything bad happening between us. It shows highlight on a high of life, of the joys of being alive, and what it means for you to be a man, yada yada, and then gives that message, and you're like, whoa, no, how could it go wrong? How could it go wrong from this picture?
Yeah, no.
And it hits home in that moment.
Yeah, when you realise what's behind it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What's behind the stash? Yeah, it's kind of something relating it back to BBL is something I didn't get into too much about what it's for, but it is definitely something which is everyone knows I do speak about. There's obviously the whole other darker side of optimism, and it's all come from like things that I've learned and things I write about, is obviously kind of relate from things that I've experienced myself and trying to get through and then learn from it, and then trying to help others if they ever go through similar things, which can be written and read in a way that are useful in all contexts. But yeah, it's definitely, it's good though, and it's good that it's very important that you don't just see the moustache or don't just see maybe like laughing smiles and hats and things, and not really looking deeper. Obviously, it's great that there's a positive view, but you still got to recognise that there is still. It's good to recognise, accept it, acknowledge it, but it just doesn't mean it has to be the priority. Is actually a way of summing it up. So know about the bad stuff, be aware of it, but just don't get lost in it. Smiles first, Lauren. You see, that's why. And interesting. Earlier on, enlightenment. That just triggered me. As Christian mentioned earlier about seeing you a year ago, just walking around campus saying hi to everyone. I remember you like freshman year. Lauren has been the most smiley hello to everyone person I've ever met or seen around campus. Like notes from day one, and I think she's brilliant. She is full of bubbles and everything that I think people love and stand for. So yeah, you're awesome, by the way.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
It all starts just give someone a smile.
Yeah, that's
Smile.
That's it. It's so simple. As simple as that. It's giving someone a smile, and it's like, definitely changed our lives. So keep smiling.
Good.
Um,
Positive energy.
All right, just to take 2 steps backwards, and we're going to take 3 forward after that. On you bringing up like the importance of understanding the bad stuff.
I kind of dipped my toes in and then left it.
Yeah. So I had written this thing a while ago. It was September 11, 2016. So already 9/11's like, a pretty awful day, and in 2016 it seemed like the world was burning.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like
Everything happened in 2016.
right, we had hired mass shootings, and just it felt like the world was tearing apart. And I hadn't seen that much bad news in my life, I don't feel, until 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote this piece on it, and I'll just read from the end of it. I said, "Soon you will itemize the news. It will become more of a subject matter with an apparent sense of self and less of a thing that actually happened.
Yeah.
Don't adapt to the bad news. Challenge yourself to think about it. Let it shake you raw, for the sake of good news."
Mm-hmm.
And this is at a point where I had come to a hypothesis that I thought where's all the good news on TV? Like, where is it?
Yeah.
How come I don't see it? Why is there all this bad news? But I mean, we see good news in our own lives, and it's important that we understand that and
Celebrate it.
exactly. Like, it doesn't just have to be on the TV
No.
for it to be good news,
Mm-hmm.
and for bad news to be on TV to remind us of how lucky we are to have the good news. It's a great thing.
Yeah, exactly. That is true. That's true.
So yeah, don't adapt to the bad news. Challenge yourself to think about it. Let it shake you raw, for the sake of good news. Caleb's taking a picture of us, or a video. I'm digging it. Hi, Insta.
Taylor is also a DJ in his spare time, if anyone's interested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I agree in that.
Plug.
Back to the news thing. We get very distracted, so I do that. But yeah, no. But then also fake news, and the fact that there's bad news there, it's so true. But the important bit that I got from what you just said about it's the final line for the sake of good news, and about it doesn't have to be on TV. I think it's something that I personally struggle with, and I guess that everyone else will do as well, because we all do the same in terms of looking for something to be a good news, to look for it to be on on the actual news and be that big. Like, it doesn't need to be. It doesn't. It seems that we're all very good at making our personal little bad news scenarios into awful news that we feel is on the actual TV.
Right.
Whenever something good happens, it seems that we don't. It's all never good enough in terms of. So I think definitely you've got to try and we all need to try and celebrate our own little perks and little happy moments a lot more than we do. So we try and avoid getting weighed down when it all gets a bit too much. So yeah, no, it's so true. And when there is you've got to acknowledge it. It's just being aware. It's awareness. I think is a key thing. Is knowing what you want to do and how you want to act and react to things. It's great and have your own style, but as long as you're actually are aware, like you can ignore it. You can have the choice to ignore it or not act on it. But as long as you actually acknowledge it, I think is very important actually.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Preach.
All right. Well, this episode is the last of the Movember series. So the next time you hear us, our voices will sound different because we're not speaking through mustaches. I know this month is almost been the only month you've known us to do podcasts. I think most of our podcasts have been in, I don't know, we're on the 5th one. Anyway, maybe it'll be clear to understand Jason and I apart in the future. Maybe you like this episode more because... No.
Rock stars.
Anyway, just
me.
Jason is missed. It is Lauren.
just because your
Lauren's.
voice is different than Jace's. And Jason and I have been told that we sound terribly similar.
That is
So often
interesting.
it's like one of us is talking to ourselves through the podcast.
Which it could be possible though.
It could be cool.
That could be cool.
It does sound like that.
You know what we could have done tonight?
Who is this talking?
Instead of like claiming that Jace was out, nobody's gonna see it. You know, I could mold my voice to Jace, and
Yeah, you could
I
split
could
it
have
out.
I could have done the Jace part tonight.
But Lauren, you did it. Oh man, I don't know who was Jace.
I do what?
Who was I Jace or was she Jace?
No. I'm saying I probably would have played both Jace
Oh,
parts.
I would love to see that happen.
You go
Yeah.
back and forth. Roll over to his
Yeah.
microphone.
Yeah.
That's cool though. I think it's very cool. So you're going to be doing more of these then, going into the new year?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. I think we're gonna stick with it. Jason and I had mentioned going bi-weekly, just because school's so heavy. But I think that what we may do instead of that is, times when one of us feel like we're too bogged down from school,
Mm-hmm.
then we can just have a guest on, and we'll take apart.
I've been told that I talk too much. So if you want to just stick me in a room, give me a mic, I'll be set.
Word.
It's been great fun.
Absolutely. Well, we're really glad to have you on here. Do we want to wrap it up with anything else?
I wonder.
Lauren-
I've got a list of things I'm about to go and Google from what I've just learnt
Yeah.
from your wisdom.
Sweet.
So wise, this man.
Thank you. I don't know. It feels so casual. Like,
You look so at home. Obviously, you can't hear this, Luke. Like I don't know if I look at home right now. I don't feel it, but Christian is looking relaxed. He's slaved back on his
Thank
chair.
you.
He looks. The headphones look good on you, man.
thank you. Dude, I, freshman year, like freshman spring, I told myself that I would create like one YouTube video a week, and I would create one blog post a month for the entire year. And I only did it for about 6 months, I think.
It's a good effort, though.
But they're so cringy looking back. and a lot of them, they're just like, they sound so pretentious now.
Mhm.
I mean, some of them there's merit to, but for the most part, I wouldn't get a whole lot of feedback from them, but I'd keep doing them. And the one thing I did get from the feedback I did have was from some of the older guys on the team. It's funny. Did you ever meet Kevin Coyle?
Ooh, that rings a bell, but I don't.
He was a rower, real tall guy. He also played volleyball.
Oh
quite a
no,
bit.
yeah, no, I do know. Yeah, I know Kevin. Unbelievably good at volleyball.
Yeah,
Oh
really
yeah,
good.
he spikes many a ball past me. I know Kevin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, he's an interesting character because he's not, like, you can tell he's like a generally happy dude, but he doesn't really show it. Oftentimes he's very, very monotone, very straight faced,
Mhm.
like on the verge of being mean, but like still a nice guy,
Yeah.
right? So one day he came up to me at practice. We're on the dock. He's like, Christian, so I watched all of your videos last night. It's like, oh yeah. What'd you think? He's like, I watched all of them. I don't know if you want to know what I thought about them, but they're all right. Keep it up.
Oh, man.
And
Heartbroken. Or heart. With that, how did you first react to that?
I was all right with it because I was
Yeah.
like,
The fact that he even watched them all, that's huge.
yeah, that was big for me. I'm like, you can do anything else in the world, but to watch like 30 plus minutes of videos, like that was pretty dope.
Exactly.
And the other feedback I got was from Woody.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it wasn't until
Shout out to the Mo Bro.
right, shout out Woodward. It might have been these, or it might have been the rowing vlogs, because I had cataloged our travels like since freshman year and all the spring tournaments, and those are fun. Those are really
Yeah,
fun to
yeah.
do, and they're fun to look back at because it's always like a
I think
record.
they're brilliant that you do that. Yeah,
Thank you.
They're awesome.
And he just mentioned that it seemed like so casual that I was in front of the camera, which is strange to me, because it's like at the time it's just you and the camera.
Yeah, you're effectively alone, you know? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But I don't know. I think just more people should try it. I mean, doing stuff like this. Like I know if I were to get on a stage though, I'd be
Be
shaking.
different.
Dude, my legs would be shaking like a dog.
Yeah, it's different actually, because I've had some kind of experience, some really, like public, not acting on stage, but public speaking in front of people. And I'm trying to think whether I prefer that or this. I think I quite like being in person because there's so much more to, as we know, so much more to communication than just the words you say and tone and stuff. Everything, a lot of visual like stimulation from it. I think I know that if I say something stupid, I could probably like do something and distract it. And there's ways of.
Right.
I felt like I'm more in control. The fact that I feel like there's more importance in the words you say through this. It's like it makes you a little bit more like worried about what you're about to say. But it's different. It's cool. It's a great experience to try it.
I think what I like about this and like YouTube and stuff is, so I don't like talk that much. I feel like I'm generally a pretty quiet guy, but it's because like when I do want to talk, it's generally like I really want to talk, and I really want to think about what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and I want like those words to like really
It should
get
be
it.
listened. Yeah,
Yeah.
I give you that. Whenever you say like you're one of the guys when I'm like when you're talking, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna listen to this because it's probably gonna be a gem.
Right. So
Right,
I feel like
exactly,
by having
right.
something like this, where I'm probably like in somebody's headphones right now, it'll mean a bit more, just because like I know it's probably getting across,
Yeah, I get that.
and I
Okay.
can like formulate it. Some people have like immense power to do that in person, and you're an extremely like sociable, outgoing people person, and people do listen to you when you talk to.
Oh,
crowds.
if they understand me, if I don't go too quick.
Yeah.
But I do it in a different way though. I just think I just keep chatting, and then something will come out eventually.
Right.
I play more of the numbers game.
Yeah.
I just keep saying words like. it's like,
Jeez,
you
so
know,
I had
something will be good.
taken a philosophy class with JJ last semester,
Oh god,
last spring, and that got interesting.
that was a very interesting class actually.
It was fun. I mean, some days it was really fun. There was a few like chatty Cathys in the class that would kind of own the class away from the teacher. And that could be irritating at times. But of course, like it's about discussion. So
Yeah,
I mean, credit to them.
yeah.
They felt like they understood what was going on, and probably sometimes enhanced our view of it as well. I remember
exactly.
you would bring up like water slides. That's like your favorite example.
Oh, those
right?
brilliant water slides. I don't. It's just a way of a positive thing, just saying it differently rather than just say something, be happy. Just think of water slides. It's just something. It just makes more people listen.
Right.
Funniest thing ever. If anyone wants to take me out for a day out on the water slides, let me know. Always down. But yeah, it's just I don't know why I would say water slides, but it's just brilliant. It's just I guess it's just why not?
Yeah.
You remembered it, so I guess that's all that matters. But yeah, I remember that class particularly. It was interesting. One of the random electives, philosophy. I was very interested and excited for it, and because parts of me through Biblical Love are very into that kind of thing and discussions about big questions and things. But it's hard because of the way of how everyone views it, and some people it's the fine line between discussion and more like arguing and people telling and suggesting and. But it was it was interesting, and I just like to put something in there to just change the pace up a little bit when someone's getting a little bit deep. Let's mention a little water side, and everything's good.
Right on. Well, thanks for being on tonight.
You're very, very welcome. It's been a pleasure.
And Lawrence, it's been great having you here as well.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Zoom, 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 zoom. Do we get like special effects when we go out?
Oh, maybe in the future we'll work on that.
Sorry.
Zoom.
So anyway,
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
JJ might have some more coming with Big Love. And
Indeed, yeah, this has been a lovely chat. Yeah, I was speaking to Christian the other day. Big Love, as I understand, those who have been following it, it's been slower recently, and it's completely on me. And it's a very time, if I'm being honest, time consuming. Time is very difficult. I'm very bad at understanding time at the moment. It's not one of my favourite things. It's an interesting topic for another time. I don't get it, and I don't understand why it is like that. Why the days that it should be longer. But when I find more time, which is soon and in the process and the works, there will be more Big Love's apparel coming and more content. There's a lot of content being generated. It's going to be posted. It's going to be more legitimate and updated, and going into the new year, more rather than I did the first step, I think, of rather than talking about actually doing it, and I did it, and then now I've been through the actions, and now it's time to actually like the next step of doing it. A lot of good chats like this one, and other people about the how feasible it potentially is, and I think just about, if I'm lucky, reasonably feasible as a potential thing for the future. And it's just something that will always be with me, and it'll just grow. It will grow and grow as I grow, and so there's no rush for it to be anything massive, and it's slow and steady wins the race, I guess.
Absolutely, no rush.
But it's something that I'm definitely in the look. People have been asking for stuff, and I haven't been able to provide. So
something I always tell people is that if they find themselves in an impatient moment, just remember it's a long, long life.
You've got a lot of time to go. Yeah.
So
always.
My
No
grandpa
rush.
told me it was short this weekend.
Yeah,
He said it goes by fast, so you better hurry up.
Yeah, yeah, they do. Yeah, it does seem to speed up as you grow up. Is what I'm finding recently. But that's part of just having more things to do and doing more stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, time. That's an interesting topic. Come to us
Absolutely.
next time when we'll discuss time and the functions of it and how it's a flat circle. That's
Sounds
an interesting concept. Shout out
yeah.
to Josh Thomas, who loves that.
Mhm.
Have you seen what's that even called? Oh my god, I blanked on the name of the show. Oh, I'm gonna get killed by Josh.
Dude,
Twilight Zone.
is it a show?
Twilight show.
Dark.
Yeah, True Detective is the name.
Oh.
There we are. I got there eventually. True Detective, very, very interesting. Yeah, that's I can bring that up. There we go. We're already planning our next show.
Sounds good.
If I'm invited back.
All right, we'll have you back on in the future. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I hope you're having a great week.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely, happy Thanksgiving. Hope
Starting
you
on Monday.
gobbled, maybe wobbled. It's a Monday. It's a great Monday. Let's make it a great Tuesday. And
Don't forget to look at Movember and donate anything.
Movember.
Every little helps to anyone. All
Yeah.
goes to the same place. So
and look into Big Love.
have a look there. Go and visit the website and see what you find, and be ready for some new exciting things soon.
And know that we have big love for you. All right, everyone, have a good week. See you later.